Welcome back to Food All You Never Wanted to Know. And today I'm going to give just a few tips on what to do if you're going to order birds, if you're going to do any kind of meat birds yourself at your home. Here's some tips before you order the birds, okay? First, education. And by the way, order the birds from a good source. Don't just get them from a neighbor. Don't just get them from a place up the street if you don't know them. Get it from a good source that has the disease-free birds that you need in order to grow them safely. Education first. Educate yourself. Learn a little bit about how to do this. Yes, you can go to YouTube videos. You can go to possibly your state extension for information or your local 4-H for information, which is kind of what we did, and we'll go into that another time. Second, start small. We did 29 birds. As you saw, that's a lot of birds, and it's a lot of birds to put in your freezer. It's a lot of birds to put in your chicken tractor, in your housing. So start small. Even if you do 10 birds, start with 10 birds if you want to. Split with somebody. Do some at somebody else's place. Do some with a farmer who is a friend or a family member. Third, get the equipment, okay? If you don't have the equipment, that means feeders, that means waterers, that means anything that you're gonna need. The brooder lamp, okay?
Housing.
The housing is next. Build the housing. Be sure it's predator proof. Your cat or dog is a predator. You need to keep your pets away from these birds. Not only can they hurt them, they can panic them, they can chase them, and the birds will run back and forth and run back and forth and back and forth. And that's not exactly good for the birds. It's not good for your pets either, but anyway. You'll need a place to brood them, which should be indoors. It should be safe. It should be able to be heated with a brooder lamp. It should be protected in such a way that nothing can get in there, not even mice, not even snakes, nothing, okay?
Draft free.
Draft free, that's correct. 5, find a feed dealer. Buy some feed before the birds ever get to your place. If they come at 6 in the morning and you run down and get them and you did not buy the feed yet, you've got a problem, okay? Also, you need grit, and we'll be talking about that in a different video. 6, find the butcher. That can be hard. That can be very difficult depending on where you live. And get a butcher date or be prepared to do it yourself. Now we found...
Get the butcher date before you get the birds.
Get the butcher date before you order those birds. Not even before you get them. Get them before you order them. Because if you have no butcher in your area, you're in trouble. And if you don't have the butcher equipment and you don't have the experience and you've never done this before, you don't want to be butchering 29 birds. It's going to take you, don't even talk about it.
You may not want to butcher one.
You may get to the end of one and say, oh my goodness, what have I done, right? So this last year, we had a bunch of cold hit in September. We had a very hard freeze in the middle of our birds growing, and our birds were only 4 to 5 pounds. This year they were upper 5 to almost 8 pounds. So every single year can be different. Don't be discouraged. And you can raise them for 6 to 7 weeks instead of 8 to 9 weeks. And you'll get birds that maybe are 3 to 4 pounds. That may be all that you want. And you could also raise them. These were roasters, which is what we wanted. You can also raise them for 4 weeks and get Cornish hens. So in that case, you want to be sure that your butcher will butcher Cornish hens. They are tiny, they're harder to clean, but that's something we've done before, and they were the best Cornish hens we ever have had.
6 weeks you get fryers.
6 weeks you get fryers. Now we've been raising, know that chicks can be shipped through the mail. It's perfectly safe for them as long as the male is cooperating, because right before the chicks are hatched, they ingest the yolk of the egg, and that gives them energy for 2 or 3 days. And so they can be in the mail for 1 or 2, 3 days at the latest. I worry if it goes 3 days. They're perfectly fine. Now, we've raised poultry since the 1990s, and we learn something new every single year. This year, I think I decided we're not doing 29 birds again in a 6x10 chicken tractor. And as you saw, before the end of our project, we did divvy some out into another housing arrangement. So realize that every year is different. Every time you can change something, you can learn something new, and research. Also research if you plan on selling any birds after they've been butchered, to look into your state regulations. In Pennsylvania, the state regulations are different than the ones in Maryland or the ones in Texas. So be sure to find out what your regulations are and whether you need to use a certified butcher in order to sell them to anyone. If you butcher at your place and you are good at butchering, you may not have to have a certified butcher. A lot of states allow you to sell direct from your property if you butcher on your property. So these are some tips. These are some things that you need to know if you plan on raising some meat birds, either for your use or for sale. And again, this is food all you never wanted to know. Please share, like, subscribe. Take care.